welcome to No Ordinary Woman Chat Show. I'm your host, Miss Kazmak, and I am joined with my beautiful co-host, Janelle. Hey girl, what's up?
Hey Kaz, it's a pleasure to be here. And can I just say how splendid you're looking in that skirt.
You like?
I love.
I'm feeling that skirt over there, that pencil skirt by Mamau, I'm sure, right?
By Mamau.
Listen.
Can recognize her anywhere.
Oh my gosh, these outfits are just too much for me.
They are.
But we look good.
We look good. We can say that too.
Yeah, we look good. And it's good to compliment another sister.
That's right.
Because when we do that, it just shows that we appreciate one another.
That's right.
Right? But Janelle, right now we have an amazing, extraordinary man sitting right in between us. Literally.
Literally.
Literally. Courtney Brown, CEO of Father to Father.
Yeah. Spectacular man, right?
Right.
You know?
So
I've actually had the pleasure of meeting Courtney before,
that's
and
right.
Courtney, you know, has started Father to Father.
That's
so
right. Yeah.
tell us all about it.
tell us all about
First of all,
it.
thank you. I'm very fortunate to be sitting here with two beautiful black queens. So
Thank
thank you for having me on here
Okay.
on this gorgeous day. So yeah, Father to Father, our mission is to increase the proportion of children growing up with responsible, involved fathers and male role models. Started that about 5 years ago. Pretty much was my own journey, you know, and also because I work in a school in Hackney as a parent liaison officer and I deal with behaviour and black boy achievement. There was a lot of boys and girls coming into my office at that time, physically and emotionally upset. And when I would ask them what's going on, they would tell me that the common denominator was dad wasn't there. Now, there's a number of reasons why dad wasn't there. You know, they would talk about mum stopped them from seeing them, dad's working too much, he's got a new family, ain't paying attention to them. So there's a whole load of reasons. But basically, dad wasn't there and they were upset, angry, to be honest with you. That actually triggered me off. I'm a father of 4. My oldest boy is 28, my second boy is 24. I've got my 14-year-old and my 8-year-old who's here, and 2 grandchildren. But when they spoke to me about their dads, I went back into my past. I grew up on Broadwater Farm, Tottenham, and my dad was the bad man of Tottenham.
Right.
Wasn't there for me. I witnessed a lot with my dad, domestic violence, women, so forth. And, but I still loved him and I still wanted his attention, but I was also angry as well. So age 13 to 21, I was that boy in Tottenham, innit? Knew my family was well known, had that power, but I wanted to really please my dad. It was nothing else. So yeah, I went down that road, you know. At the age of 21, I had my first son. And yeah, and then at the age of 24, yeah, 21, 25, sorry, I had my second son. But in that, when I had them, I decided to jump off the road, like stop that kind of behavior. But I bought into another alter ego. I became a promoter. And, you know, just this old, they used to call me Courtney Too Sweet.
Why is that?
I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, so I was living that life of, you know, the girls, the champagne, making the money. I wasn't a bad man, but I demand them around me. So I lived that for a number of years. So when I started working in the school that I work in now, as I said earlier on, you know, it triggered me off. And these young people see me as a role model, but I saw myself as a hypocrite. So I had to make that decision then to say, how was I going to repair the harm now? And at that time, I made the decision to phone this time I'm married with my 2 boys, and I made the decision to phone my son's mums and apologize and ask for forgiveness.
Wow.
We had a good discussion, you know, and everything, and we sorted that out. But then the second step was to bring my sons. So one week, one mother brought my son, and, you know, I remember me and my wife sitting down, my son's mum and my son there, and you know what, he cussed me out. And he had all right to, and I had to humble myself, you know, and just say, I'm sorry, son, you know, I'm just sorry. No excuses, I'm sorry, but I'm here for you. I just want to repair this. So he cussed me out, as I said. He went. The following week, my second son came with his mum, and he was angry. He had his mum's name tattooed all over his arm. And he was like, he was what? This is my dad. This is my dad. My mum's be my dad. I should spit in your face.
Wow.
Yeah, so he was really angry, which led into a lot of mental health for my son. He was depressed with that. So, and I had to work through that with him. So again, I apologized, you know, and say, I want to be here. So being there meant then for the next 6 months, I was constantly contacting my sons and letting them know. They were cussing me, but in my mind, I knew they were testing me. They were to see if I was going to run again, abandon them again.
Yeah.
But I still went there. And you know what? God is good. God placed them 2 boys in my house after 6 months to live with me.
Wow. Praise
Both.
God.
Both of them.
Wow.
That's only God. It's only God.
Definitely.
Amazing.
So they started living with me, and you know, it wasn't easy at the beginning, because again, there was a lot of testing and you know, a lot of emotions. But I just remained positive with them, hugged them. Sometimes they didn't want to have the hug and everything, but you know what? God is so good. Literally, so my other son, he's moved out now because he's got my 2 grandchildren. But Jaden is still there, and he's the one that wanted to like go in on me. And about 4 months ago, he looked at me. We were both getting ready for work, and he looked at me and said, "Dad, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you, and the work that you do with Father." And I tell you, I'm not lying. I just started crying because I feel like I can't cry now, because that's all I wanted. That's all I wanted. So that pretty much started Father, but then the key thing is, like I said, no. So while I was doing the promoting thing, my wife was already got baptized and everything. So I was still going to church, and I was hearing things. I was hearing the curse of the fathers, the sins, the generational curse, turning the hearts of the fathers to. And so it was hitting me. And then God was doing, you know, I was doing so much work with Father. We'd got to 10 Downing Street, met with Samantha Cameron for the work we was doing. I'm like, wait a minute, like, all of this is happening, I'm not even baptized. And a year after that, I just said, you know what, God, you know what, Father, what can I do to give you? And he said, just give yourself to me. So a year later, I got baptized, and then he just said to me, well, I brought your sons back to you, and they forgave you. What about you forgiving yourself and your dad? And then about 2 weeks after I got baptized, my dad came to church with me. We both fell at the altar crying, and that's when we hugged, and that's when the forgiveness was done. And that's how Father to Father started, the Father to Father in the community.
Oh my gosh.
So that's how Father to Father
beautiful.
started. You know?
But what I love about your journey is that you took responsibility.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many fathers out there that are not taking responsibility. I mean, thank God you was able to establish in regards to what happened to you in terms of, you know, obviously your father's well known in the area, and he's got, you know, what we consider as name brand. But the fact of the matter is, you just wanted to please your father. And there's so many young people, not even just young boys, but there's young girls as well that are in the same situation, and the importance of fathers showing what a man is supposed to look like to a daughter as well as to one of our princes. Do you know what I mean? Kind of thing.
Totally.
So in regards to what you went through, what would you say to somebody that's potentially watching right now that probably went through madness like yourself, also now repeating that same generational kind of curse as well with their own children? What would you say to that person who's potentially watching? How would you encourage them?
Yeah, when I look at identity, know who you are. And what I mean by that is that I couldn't live into my dad's footsteps. It wasn't about my dad. He lived his life, and I couldn't hold him accountable because I don't know what his journey was. So I had to take responsibility for my journey and understand my own identity. Because if you don't know who you are, how do you know where you're going?
Come on now, come on.
Yeah. So I had to understand who I was. I had to then also work out my own emotions. It's funny because like, you know, the Father just downloaded something in me called the 5 Eyes, and that's what I based my programs on: identity, individual awareness. So when I talk about individual awareness, I'm talking about self-awareness. So with a lot of young people, and us as adults, I believe, there's certain emotions that trigger us. You have to know those emotions and why it triggers you, but then how do you manage it in a positive way?
That's right.
So it doesn't, you don't internalize it, or you don't lash out either. So, and also with individual awareness comes your talents and gifts. Yeah, and this is what I talk to the young people at my schooling and in the community. What is you're being gifted? Use your talents and gifts.
But just on that point, Courtney,
Yeah.
and I don't want to cut you because
No.
I'm, I'm really moved. I think we both are by the things that you're saying. You went from wanting to please your father, being angry at the same time, living this semi-name brand lifestyle, living the champagne lifestyle, living the roadman lifestyle in some respects, to working in a school. How did that happen?
Wow, I tell you. Okay, so at that time I was working in Haringey Council, and I took redundancy, and I just thought, how am I going to provide for my, my wife and everything? And I started working in Marks and Spencer's depot, and I know I was an intelligent young black man, but they were trying to, because it was a warehouse. Some of the managers were trying to handle me away. Now, you ain't going to treat me like that, you get what I'm saying? So I remember speaking to the manager, and they had promised me that, actually, if you do this, you don't have to work on a Saturday. But then on Friday come, they're telling me to work on a Saturday. I said, listen, keep your job. Yeah, keep your job. And I remember walking on, because where my workplace was, it was only 5 minutes from my house. It took me 45 minutes to get home. You know why? Because I knew my wife was at home, and how am I going to explain to her that I walk out a job? Yeah. How was I going to explain to her I'll walk out a job? So I sat down in the park like, what am I going to do? What am I going to say to her? So then I got in, put the key in, and at that time my phone, I'd lost its charge. She was like upstairs. She's like, oh, yo, Merdy, babe, yeah, I'll be with you in a minute, because my phone needs charging. So when I put my phone into charge, and when you put your phone in, you switch it, you go beep, 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 a message. It's a message from an agency that I'd signed up 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks before. So I was listening, and then like, oh, Mr. Brown, we've got this role for you, yeah, in a school.
Wow.
Temporary role.
Jesus.
But I phoned them up and said, listen, what, can it be permanent? They goes, look, they're looking for somebody. It's temporary. And because I used to do kind of mentoring in Haringey, they liked my CV. So I said, all right, then cool. I'm going in there on Monday. I'm still there now.
Wow.
So that's how I got into the school. That's why I always say, when people talk, I know God's hands have been on me.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, because to go from, like you said, from that into a school and then be there 7 years later, and from that start up father to father, it's only God to me. It's only God. It's only God.
Wow, that's just amazing.
It is,
oh my
isn't it?
goodness. Just wow.
So tell us a bit more about what Father to Father does, because I think from the foundation there was a real kind of like you said, God's hands were upon you, upon your life. This is destined. This was meant to happen. And I know a bit about what you guys do, but I'd like you to explain for those who are watching exactly what services you offer.
So we got something called a Father's Room. And that's where it's all men come together, and you give them that space, that non-judgmental space to express themselves, to get that emotion out. Because I believe there's not enough spaces for men to talk in a safe environment, So we do the Father's Room. So we do that once a month, because we're based in Hackney.
Right.
Yeah. So we do that once a month in Hackney, and then from that we do two other things. We've got the Father to Father mentoring program. That's called The Future Is Mine, but mine is an acronym for M, motivate the young black boys, I, inspire the young black boys, N, nurture the young black boys, and E, empower the young black boys. So we meet up with these boys on the last Saturday of every month as well. And we also run something called Faces, which is father figures and children engagement service. So that's more targeting the younger generation from 4 to 6. So it's through play, because through play they learn. So it's where, like I said, my mum, and that's why I'm saying I'm bigging up all the mums out here, because my mum raised me. So I'm very aware of that there may be families out there where they're positive, they ain't got a male role model there. So that's why it's fun. And then it's about bringing the boys or girls, and we have fun, circus skills, face painting and everything, but we learn through there, and we engage with the young person there. So those are some of the services that we're delivering at the moment. And again, I've been very blessed to be working in Hackney. It's funny because Hackney heard about Father to Father, but they didn't know the man that founded it worked in one of their schools in Hackney. Wow. So when they found out, it was just like, yeah, come. And so Hackney's really embraced it. especially because they've got their 10 to 15 year program around improving their outcomes of young black men, which I'm sitting on that steering group for that. So those are some of the services we run at Father to Father. The mentoring program, we've just trained up 13 men to be mentors again, but not the typical Euro-centric mentoring. We've added 2 elements to it, which is ethical leadership and racial identity and trauma to it. And it was really amazing seeing the men go through that training, because they could recognize their own trauma growing up in this London and seeing where actually they were, you know, institutional racism. So, you know, they are angry, because they've gone for a job and because of their skin color, they don't get it. Of course they're going to be angry, you know, of course you're going to be angry. But when you know how to deal with it, so you're seeing the black racial identity, you know, white racial identity, and then you're understanding that model, you then know how to deal with it.
Right.
And that's what the men and I have been on.
You're
So
equipped with the
you're
tools.
equipped with the tools
to counteract
to
that.
counteract it. And then now it's our responsibility to go back in the community and equip our young boys with those tools as well. And that's what we use in the Future is Mine program as well. Equipping them things.
So in regards to your program, could anybody go to this to actually take part in the program? I mean, like if say people live in Northwest London, or is it just for people that lives in?
At the moment, it's just for
area?
people who live in Hackney, because it's
Right.
Hackney that's commissioned it in. However, we've been approached by Haringey, we've been approached by other boroughs to basically train up Lambeth, to train up support workers around racial identity and trauma, and then let them get on with it, but supervised by Father to Father and so forth. So yeah, that's what we do.
That's
And then I also tithe my own time, you know, for the community. You know, if I've got a parent that rings me up and say, look, then me and the team will have a discussion and say, all right, then we're going to jump on this and that, because you know, it's needed. It's needed.
Definitely needed.
So in regards to your organisation, your team, how did you get your team together? Were you recruiting? How did it work?
So how that worked was that there was one particular gentleman who I saw him as a role model growing up, and when he got the vision of me, he said, yeah. So he's just been working with me, and since then, like I said, when we did the mentoring program, there's other guys that showed the talents and gift that understood it, and they've just joined onto it as well. And that's how we do. So I get asked to go into a lot of churches and youth, establishments to talk about it. And I just know that if you have eyes to see and ears to hear, you understand what I'm saying, and you can signpost, you can join up with Father, go through the training program, because it is about capacity building. Because there's a lot of work to do out here, but I have to capacity build, and that's why the ethical leadership one came in, because I am not going to put any man out there who hasn't gone through his own cleansing the way I've gone through my cleansing. Because then you can project onto these young people, and it's not about projecting. It's hard enough for them as it is for us as men to go out there and project. So you have to go through your own cleansing, and that's what I'm saying. I had to go through my cleansing. God made me go through my cleansing. So I stick to that format, basically.
So many people out there are going to be really interested to know more about Father to Father and to know how they can support, or if they are currently living in Hackney, to benefit from your services. So if you kind of just speak to people out there and let them know how they can get in touch and find out a bit more about you.
So we're on Instagram, Father2Father. Our website is www.fathertofather.co.uk. Email address is info@fathertofather.co.uk. So that's how you can get hold of me.
Do you have any events coming up?
Yes, so we've got the big event at Hackney Marshes on June the 16th. It's and this is what I'm talking about ethical leadership, especially when we're telling the young people to unite, but we're not uniting ourselves. Because it's about role modeling. So I've approached a couple of my brothers, Manhood Academy, Dr. Andrew Mohammed, Paul Anderson from Voyage, and Love is a Verb, and Asher Senator from Code 7, South London. And I've sat down for the last 6 weeks, we've been sitting down, I've shared the vision with them in terms of, listen, forget about religion, forget about Right about now, there's a bigger enemy out there that's taking our young people.
Yeah.
We as men have to come together and work together
Yes.
to beat this enemy.
That's right.
So they've all agreed to join up at Hackney Masters on June the 17th for something called a Father's Love Community Cookout.
Okay.
And that's what we're going to be doing. So there's going to be workshops, fun, messing about, but you know, it's about the love, respecting and love each other, because that's what I believe the young people need.
So is
just
it
love.
just for the
No, it's for it's a family. Yeah.
But
We're
might
gonna
have
be
go
there.
down
No,
I
I
No,
think.
no,
we
we
will.
can't do this without our women,
Is
our
there-
mothers.
There's
Never.
going to be food down there, right?
There's going to be food.
We're
There's
there,
going
right?
to be food. Yeah, there's going to be food. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, good food, good vibes, everything. Yeah.
Cool. Well, we're going to have to wrap up. We really don't want to wrap up. But, do you know, I think in terms of what Father to Father is doing, it's just something that's definitely needed within our community. And that's one of the things that I like about this show, is that we actually provide a platform where we get to hear about amazing people that are doing extraordinary things within our community. And it's always an honor to just get to meet them in
Always.
person, right?
Yeah, always.
So, what do you want to say?
Well, I'm just really moved by your story. As I said, I knew your story before,
Yeah.
but I think it's probably over a year ago
That's
now
right,
that we met and we
yeah.
spoke, and I have also seen the evolution of Father to Father, and I see it continue to grow and to continue to expand and continue to change lives, and that's what it's all about. There are many lives out there that for one reason or the other have faced, people have faced challenges in
That's
their
right.
lives, and where there is a challenge, there is always a way to support and to find a solution and a way around that, and you're shining example of that. So, commend you and thank you
No
for the
worries.
work you're doing, and
Can I-
encourage you to just continue.
Can I just say to those that, again, the 5 P's: pain, process, position, power, purpose.
Pain,
Pain,
process,
process, position,
position,
power,
power,
purpose.
purpose.
So the pain I went through was just a process
Yeah.
that put me in a position of power. And they say power is knowledge. It's what you
Yes.
do with the knowledge. And I turn it into my purpose.
Yes.
So
I love that.
I love
that's what
that.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen,
Yeah.
that's going to be my thing to keep going right now. But,
Yeah.
it's just amazing. And I just hope that our viewers, whoever may be struggling with the pain, just know it's just a process.
It's a
just know it's
process.
going to lead on to your actual purpose.
That's right.
And until next time, make sure you subscribe to No Ordinary Woman Chat Show. Share, because share.
Yeah.
Share the link.
Sharing is.
Sharing is caring. So make sure you share. Until next time.
Thank
peace
you.
out.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Ciao, people.
Thank
Bye.
Woman, you are the key. It's only natural.